Hello, guys and gals. Thank you for joining us again on Jalan Jalan Cari Rumah. We're at episode 3.
3. That's
Yep. I'm here with my friend Gunaprasath. Guna has every known vice I can think of. Teh tarik, vaping.
But look at me, man.
Yeah, you. Do you take steroids?
No, not at all, man. It's all about the exercise. You have got to constantly exercise.
On the bed or?
No, man. Exercise. Proper exercise. You've got to.
On the bed, it's not exercise?
Well, that's exercise. It's different. Yeah, that's more soul searching and, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the topic at hand, can we? So today we want to talk about JMBs, Joint Management Bodies or Management Committees. This is interesting for you if you live in a stratified building. As Malaysians, I think we are still not entirely used to stratified living. What do you think?
I totally agree. But before I get into that, you like my haircut? I cut my hair for you, man.
Okay, it's a bit hard to tell because of the eyebrows. Maybe you should cut there and then we could tell that you've cut your hair. But it looks alright, yeah.
You know the truth? The truth behind this whole thing, at my haircut, I got them to trim my eyebrows as well.
You did?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't look like 100-foot tree anymore. Yep, looking alright.
And you took off the suspenders.
Yes, for you, my friend.
Well, if you're wondering what this is all about, Ikhram has got a problem with my eyebrows. And because he had a problem with my eyebrows...
I swear I've seen 2 tigers roaming inside there.
Because he had problems with my eyebrows, I had problems with his hat. And he's normally with suspenders as well, like Charlie Chaplin. But today he came without his suspenders. So he's improving a little bit.
Thank you. Thanks, Guna. Coming from you, it means a lot to me.
Okay, back to the topic at hand.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you check if you're recording?
Yeah. Okay, now, JMB. Joint Management Body. Many people don't understand this. The JMB and the JMC, or rather known as the MC, are 2 different bodies here. What happens is, just for the knowledge of people out there, when a developer develops a stratified development, then what happens is he passes it on to the JMB after 5 years. JMB consists of residents, owners of the building, of units in the building, and they who are chosen and appointed at an AGM. Okay, now they take over, JMB takes over for the next several years until the strata is individually obtained by each person.
Correct.
Okay, when the strata is individually obtained, then there will be the first annual general meeting for the JMC or MC, the Management Corporation.
Yeah.
Okay, when it becomes a management corporation, there are many things that changes as well. Right? In the sense that there are budgets, there are things to look at, rather than just the maintenance and so on and so forth. So it's a whole different ball game altogether, right? So now today we're talking about the people behind the JMB.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I take this very much to heart because I was part of a JMB before. I was part of my condo's JMB simply because when I bought into the development, I came to realize that many things were lacking, maintenance-wise. There were lots of things that were broken down and which was not replaced. There was a lot of it was just not right. Right? And we started questioning, and when we questioned, the number one answer that I used to get was, we are volunteers. We're not getting paid for this. Well, I'd like to point this out to any JMB who's watching. Yes, you are volunteers, and you volunteer your time, so volunteer with genuinely.
Volunteer properly lah. That's what you're saying, yeah.
Exactly. Volunteer properly. You don't have to keep mentioning that, we're not getting paid. Why? Do you want to get paid? If you want to get paid, this is not the place for you. Yes. So that is the number one question answer we used to get. And it started to get a bit frustrating. So what we did was we formed an UBA group.
UBA. Nice. I like that.
We formed an UBA group where we brought together, I think we had about 70 members, 70 unit owners who got together who wanted to change the JMB. And we did that. We put the 70 people together, we went for the AGM, and that was the first time I've seen an AGM that packed. There was a lot of people there at the AGM. And yes, we brought ourselves into the JMB. And once we got into the JMB, believe it or not, we saw things that was ridiculous. For instance, accounts not done. A lot of back-end things were not done properly. And having the back-end stuff not done properly, the new JMB had to basically get that done first before we could start to show changes in the front line. And that took time. So over time, we managed to change things a little bit. And the strata rules is basically you can hold a position in JMB for 3 years. After 3 years, you've got to step down.
Okay.
You can come back after a year, but you have to step down after 3 years. So 3 years we held the JMB, and then we stepped down, and the new JMB took over, and we hope and pray that they continue the legacy that we left there. So coming back to your earlier question, I know I digressed a little bit, but I love doing that. But coming back to your question earlier, yes, community living. The main part of community living, if you take the word community, you will realize that the root in the word community is unity. So you have to have unity for a community to prosper. Everyone here, everyone in a strata development have got to work hand in hand to make the development prosper.
I completely agree. So what do you propose? How should people work hand in hand?
It's very simple. What you don't want done onto yourself, you don't do onto your neighbor. For instance, you don't want clothes hanging over a balcony and dripping into your balcony. So you don't do that as well.
But you see, Guna, here's the part. I agree. Don't do unto others what you want them to do onto you, right? But I have a feeling that for many Malaysians, hanging their clothes out in the balcony is something normal. It irks me. I get annoyed. You're not supposed to hang your clothes out in the balcony. No one wants to see your underwears and panties and, out in the balcony.
Yeah, maybe you do, right? You've got a fetish for things, man.
Yes, but I like it on someone I find attractive, and I like to take it out. But I don't want to see it hanging in a balcony. And I think many Malaysians are oblivious to this. They just don't realize that this is not good etiquette. A balcony is for you to sit out, relax, enjoy, and at the same time, you're not supposed to spoil the facade of the building.
Yeah, but I get it as well. To certain people, in a strata development, the main thing is you've got to have a washing machine and you've got to have a dryer.
Yep.
Okay, this is a must-have. But it takes a lot of electricity. It drinks a lot of electricity. A dryer especially. So drying clothes, especially with families with children, drying clothes on a regular basis will just boost up your electricity bill completely. So I get it. They want to hang their clothes out on the balcony as well. So it dries before they take it in. So I get it to a certain extent.
I don't get it.
No, but you don't get it.
I don't agree with it.
No, but
not to hang your clothes.
But what I'm trying to say is, you can always dry your clothes inside as well. If you get a rack, you go to the hardware shop and you get one of those silver racks where you can hang clothes on. And you can put it in a room and put the fan on. It serves the same purpose. Let it dry. Then what you do is you take it out and you put it in the dryer for a little while, so you don't drink too much of electricity. You still get your clothes warm.
Yep.
So there is a way of doing it. But do you want to is the question. Now here in Malaysia, like what you said, people feel that it's their right because they own the balcony. Yes, it is your right, no doubt. But imagine driving past a condominium, a high-end condominium, and seeing drapes of clothes hanging over a balcony.
Yep.
It just takes that whole 5-star experience at that condo and throws it away and brings a low-cost feel to it.
Correct.
Yeah, so yeah,
absolutely.
Totally agree. I agree with you, man. That's surprising, but I agree.
That's because I'm putting forward good arguments. Anyway, speaking of, so people can play a part in this unity, right? But JMBs play a pivotal role. They can actually enforce house rules. They can create bylaws. They can ensure that proper security is appointed, and this security can monitor and ensure that all bylaws or whatever rules that are in place are followed. I think what's lacking is enforcement. And the other thing is maintenance. A long time ago, I came across this theory called the broken window theory. Have you heard of it?
No, please enlighten me. What broken window? What have you been doing, Ikhram? Which windows have you been breaking now?
A lot when you've not been watching. So the broken window theory states this. I think it was Bloomberg when he was the mayor of New York. He came up with this. He said that he doesn't want to see any broken windows in New York City. The reason was he felt that the dilapidated state of some of these buildings and areas, right, was what was causing crime. He theorized that if everything looked perfect, people would feel scared to throw rubbish or to spray graffiti, you know. So, you know, the trains have graffiti, he would ensure that the very next day it's cleaned up, no more graffiti. Okay? And what happened was they actually saw a reduction in crime.
Perfect. Clear example, Singapore.
Yes.
Clear example. If you go to Singapore, you would hesitate to throw a cigarette butt. You would hesitate to drop a wrapper. You would hesitate to do anything, actually. You would hesitate to walk if your shoe had mud.
Absolutely. And when the Singaporeans come here, no offense to Singaporeans, they feel comfortable throwing cigarettes. If you're a Singaporean watching, maybe it's not you, but I've seen this happening, you know. So yeah, it shows that the environment you're in can actually influence your behavior. So I think this is where it's so important for JMBs to be professional. I feel JMBs need to have an eye for aesthetics. They need to have an eye for beauty. They need to understand maintenance. They have to ensure that the building is in sparkling condition. Then people will feel scared, or rather embarrassed to do anything that's out of the ordinary.
And plus point, if you keep your development in sparkling condition, your value goes up. That's the whole point. What is property investment? I've mentioned this in many of my talks before as well. Do not have an emotional attachment to your property. Your property is an asset, right? The reason why you're investing in property is for capital appreciation.
Correct.
Okay? And when capital appreciates, you want to sell it. And you want to make sure capital appreciates.
Absolutely.
So that is where you've got to look at it from an outside point of view. You've got to make sure it sparkles. You must make sure it fetches better rates. Not you pay 500,000 for a condominium, and tomorrow you're trying to find a buyer for 600,000. Maybe in a year's time or 2 or 3 years time, you're trying to find a buyer for 600,000. You can't get it. Yep. That's a failure in property investment. And how do we ensure this? That's the big question mark here.
We need proper JMBs. And I think we have a total lack of good property managers. Maybe we do have, but there's not enough of them. In Malaysia, unless it's a super 5-star luxurious condominium, and even then there are exceptions, most condominiums give it 3 years or 4 years, 5 years at most, and it starts looking dilapidated already. Go to Singapore, a 30-year-old building looks fresh.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind living in it and buying it.
The HDB flats.
Yeah.
That's example, just staring at Malaysia.
Correct. So I think we need to appoint or elect the right people into office in JMBs. And here, I think Malaysians, especially because, as I mentioned earlier, right, we're new to this community living. We're not new to it. I mean, we've had kampongs and all that. But stratified living is something we are fairly new to. I think Malaysians are not exercising their right to vote the JMB, because you were shocked when you said you had such a big attendance at your AGM, right? In reality, I'm sure you've been to other AGMs. It's very poor, the attendance.
You can hardly get a quorum.
Correct. So if I have a vested interest and I want to be the chairman of the JMB, you know how easy it is? I just have to know 10 or 15 people in the condo. I can get myself elected because everybody else is not coming.
And since you brought that point up, vested interest, it's a crime.
Correct. I hope
It's
you
a
never
crime.
had any vested interest when you were in the JMB.
I had vested interest. I had vested interest to spruce up our security. And that's a very selfish thing for me, but it's okay. I'd rather be selfish. I want security. I want security to be strong. And it's not just for me and my family. I want it for everyone here. So my vested interest was to spruce up the security, and I did that. I made sure a lot of budget went to security.
Okay.
Right? Because why live in a condominium? The main thing that people like living in a strata development is because of the security. Number one. You know, if you're traveling, you want to make sure your loved ones are well taken care of. You want to make sure that they're secure. That's where my vested interest was. But I have seen certain JMBs. I can't point out, I'm not going to point out, but I have seen where they make money. The JMB members make money because they appoint their friends who are contractors, they appoint their friends who are suppliers, and these guys give a kickback to them, and they make that kickback on a monthly basis. Ladies, gentlemen, if you are part of a JMB, don't do this. That money is not the money that's collected. It's money that belongs to residents.
Yep.
You know, you're collecting residents' money. It's their hard-earned income that they are putting down as maintenance charges to basically take care of the maintenance and to make the place sparkle. So don't take their money. That's not right. No, it's just not right. No, so please don't do this. If you're reported, you could be sentenced.
Yep.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, back to the issue of GMBs, the easiest fix, I think, if you want good GMB, good management of your stratified properties, is to attend the AGMs and to mingle around, find out who's the best person to actually be the chairman. Don't let someone become the chairman of your GMB simply because he knows 15 people in the condo. It should be everyone, getting to know one another, and then you know who is fit for that role. And it shouldn't be because there's no one else, therefore this person becomes GMB.
And which is most of the time the case.
Yeah.
There isn't enough people, there's not enough quorum. Whoever is there becomes a JMB.
Yes.
Well, it shouldn't be the case.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel that there should be some implementation. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ikhram. But I feel that there should be some implementation by an association or a body when it comes to JMB. Yeah, we have the COB, the Commissioner of Buildings. We have HBA who's doing a lot of things as well. But there should be a body that governs JMBs.
I think in Australia there is a body that governs this.
No, in Australia it's different because in Australia there isn't JMBs. What happens in Australia is each, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, comment, if I'm not accurate on this. But what I remember when I went to Australia, I spoke with some people there, and basically what I was told was there are no JMBs. But what happens is there is each community, each area, right? There is one head who governs all the strata developments. Yeah. So basically, you pay your maintenance to them. Yeah. Every building pays to them, and they maintain all the buildings in the area.
And it's professionally done, right? So maybe we need something like this in Malaysia. We definitely need some sort of oversight onto JMBs to ensure. Maybe there is oversight at the moment, but it's not. One area that we lack in Malaysia is enforcement. So we need proper oversight and enforcement to make sure JMBs are run smoothly, and the government or the COB should actually come down and fine a condominium.
Totally.
If they find, okay, your paint is outdated, you look like a sore thumb, you're sticking out like a sore thumb in this particular area, slap them with a fine. Yes. That will get JMBs to start thinking about how to maintain, the buildings properly and ensure that all the facilities are good and so forth.
Yeah. And there's another thing to this as well, which is the SMA, the Strata Management Act. have you read the Strata Management Act?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah. Have you realized how grey it is? Not the book cover, no, but
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there are some parts that are grey. Some parts I think are specific.
yeah. But there's a lot of ways to get over. Well, there's loopholes. There are loopholes in the SMA which should be looked at. I feel it's been many years, and someone has got to take the SMA, put it in front of them, and say, okay, where are the loopholes, and patch them.
But just patching alone is not enough. Like I said earlier, in Malaysia we lack enforcement. So you can have the best rules, but if there's lousy enforcement, it's not going to work. So as it stands, as the SMA stands, it would be more impactful to ensure that enforcement is happening. Things like, strata, people living in strata communities not paying maintenance fees. This is a big issue. Some people take it for granted, they don't, I'm not say take it for granted, they take it very lightly. My management fees, that's the last thing I need to pay. But it's very important.
Yes.
It's part of what the facilities you're using, the building maintenance, everything. All that requires money, and when you invest into a stratified property, you have to take this in as part of your cost. Yeah. If it's something you cannot afford, then you shouldn't be looking into it.
Totally agreed. Now, a tip to everyone out there. If you're buying into a strata development, all right, and let's say your mortgage is 3,000 a month, 3,000 ringgit a month, you've got to take 20% of that. 20% of 3,000 and add that to your monthly commitment. 20% will cover quite a few things. It will cover your maintenance fee. It should cover your maintenance fee. And the balance of that, you've got other payments as well. You've got your taxes. You've got all this which you don't realize. So you've got to take 20% off your mortgage at least, and that should go towards your budgeting for your monthly payments.
Sure. So we've got to stop here. We're coming to the end. That's what we think about JMB, stratified living, and being a community. Tell us your opinions. What do you think? How best to get JMBs to function effectively? And how do we get the buildings in Malaysia to look gorgeous? This is one thing that bothers me. Cigarette butts around, paint peeling off, people hanging their clothes on the balcony. I think all these needs to be sorted. We need to start living like a developed society.
Yes, totally agreed. Yeah, please, like what Ikhram said, share your opinions, share your comments. If we have said something wrong as well, correct us. Let's have a discussion on this, and who knows, we could actually have another episode on JMBs with the comments.
Yep, definitely. So that's me, Ikhram, and
Gunaprasath,
who likes. You're not hanging your underwear out on the balcony, are you?
Have you broken into my window to see?
No, I'm kind of like. Which one is your condo? But we're in Guna's condo, by the way. Yeah. It's a really nice condo. Certain areas can be improved, which is why we thought let's talk about JMBs today.
Correct. Okay, so we'll catch you in the next episode. Till then, peace.